Okay, Unsolved Mysteries Lost Episode. Let's get it.
Unsolved Mysteries Lost Episode. On July 9th, 2024, one Reddit user made an extremely unsettling post on the RBI, or the Reddit Bureau of Investigation subreddit, which read, "Help finding a TV episode to possibly solve a murder. I've spent years and hours through Google trying to locate this and was advised you guys might be able to help. Trying to find what rerun episode of Unsolved Mysteries aired on a specific date/location that I'm convinced had a story of my ex-husband murdering a couple.
What?
I was at a hotel in Bakersfield, California on August 17, 2000, and at 11 p.m. they had a rerun of Unsolved Mysteries on the TV. I have no idea what station would have played it. I'm watching them talk about a situation where a smooth-talking stranger gets himself invited into their home, etc. I jokingly kept thinking to myself, yeah, I know someone smooth like that. This person ended up murdering the couple. Fast forward to the end and they show a sketch. I literally sat up in the bed. It was my ex. Yes, he would have been capable of that, and I believe he would have been driving through that area around that time, angry that I just left him." The user also mentioned that they had already contacted the show but hadn't received any answers from them. And despite years of looking online, they haven't found any clues. Now, my first assumption when I came across this post was that it was nothing more than a hoax created by the user. After all, the idea of someone stumbling upon their ex-husband's involvement in a murder during a late-night rerun of a TV show feels almost too cinematic. Maybe they had a flair for dramatics, or maybe they were just a fan of lost media. So they crafted their own dark tale with a personal twist that would leave the readers yearning for an update that would never come. However, the more I looked into the case, the less plausible this theory seemed. For starters, I looked through their posts and comment history on Reddit and didn't find a particular interest in lost media, horror, or anything of that nature. The account was also created back in 2018, so it wasn't created recently to fabricate this bizarre story. More importantly, the details given in the post seem a bit too specific to be something the original poster just made up. I went through old TV schedule guides from around that time, and sure enough, a rerun of Unsolved Mysteries did air on the live channel on the 17th of August 2000 at around 8 p.m. But if the Reddit user is telling the truth, how did an entire episode of such a popular and well-documented TV show just vanish into thin air? Especially since the whole show is now available on YouTube, and yet there's no sign of an episode matching their description. The closest case I found was from a 1994 episode about the disappearance of Jonathan Francia. The investigators working on this case were able to create a sketch of the potential suspect, and it was a man with a long face and a cowboy hat.
Let's forget this dude's trying to solve the mystery. You know how crazy that is, bro? Do you know how insane that is, bro? Do you know what she just stumbled upon, bro? Nah, it's Unsolved Mysteries. This woman just solved the mystery. The show doesn't want to talk to her. The police needs more. Do you understand how insane this story is? You break up with your ex and he goes to murder a person. Now, you didn't know he did that, but then you were watching a TV show and then you saw that he did that. But no one knows he was the person that did that. But you know he was the person that did that because you don't see the sketches and everything is lining up. But nobody can believe you because you don't have any concrete evidence. What I just told you, how irresponsibly stupid and just bizarre enough to be true that can be. That's tough.
Did match the description the Reddit user gave in a comment about the sketch they saw on TV. However, this is where the similarities ended between the two cases. To make matters even more puzzling, another person claimed to remember something similar in a comment reading, "I have a vague recollection of this episode as well. I'm going to go through the episodes I've watched on Unsolved Mysteries on YouTube and see if I recognize it." Unfortunately, despite rewatching all of the available episodes, they didn't find anything about the mysterious case either. Though, it's entirely possible that Unsolved Mysteries changed parts of their episode after its rerun in August of 2000. As Redditor Rob Frey mentions in their comment, "The reason why it might be so hard to find and why you can't just watch old episodes to find it is the segment may have been changed from what was originally aired. Unsolved Mysteries used to edit segments as new information came forward, especially after a case was officially solved. If they caught the guy who did it, they may have removed a lot of the information from the case that made you think it was your ex, especially information that was completely speculative or a red herring. As an example, I remember they had a really good segment about a murder in a family who owned a U-Haul, and it went into a lot of the family infighting and drama, and there was at least an implication that a family member was most likely to blame. When they caught the guy and it turned out to be a random breaking and entering, they cut all of the family drama stuff out of the segment and added an update that the case was solved.
Bro, that's such a business. That is such a huge business. If you deep it, they actively keep tabs of all the cases and all their episodes they've ever heard. And if any slight changes is discovered, they go back into the episode, drag the file, edit it, and re-upload or re-put it out into the. That is insane. So you gotta look. You have to, for them to actually verify this woman's claim, they have to find someone who has the original airing, like probably hard copy or something, downloaded versions of the original airings, and go through each of them. That's tough, man. Y'all are never putting this dude behind bars, bro.
The only potential flaw in this theory is that if Unsolved Mysteries changed that episode because the case was quote-unquote solved, the Reddit user would have likely learned about their ex getting arrested, but that didn't happen.
True.
From what I've seen, the most likely theory is that maybe they saw the sketch on some other crime show and are simply misremembering it as a part of the Unsolved Mysteries episode after so many years. This would explain why no one was able to find the hint, despite scouring every episode of the show from its conception. However, if this turns out to be true, it would also make searching for what they saw on TV that night exponentially more difficult. Unfortunately, unless someone finds concrete evidence, we have no way of confirming or disproving any of these theories. That being said, if this lost media is ever uncovered by people on the internet, it could help authorities solve a decades-old crime and catch the suspect.
Yo, that's tough, man.
Easily available explosive. During the 2016 Silicon Valley Comic-Con, one of the hosts of Mythbusters, Adam Savage, was doing a panel answering questions from fans of the show.
It's crazy how I've never watched an episode of Mythbusters in my life, bro. Never.
Near the end of the panel, someone asked him about the biggest disaster he's experienced on Mythbusters.
What is the biggest disaster that you've ever had behind the scenes filming Mythbusters?
Now, this fan was likely expecting something tame, like a crew member spilling something, or one of the devices they built breaking before they could film the episode, something of that nature. However, no one could have anticipated the answer Adam gave for this simple question.
Wondering how specific to get. The biggest disaster we had was Cary Grant and Tori were investigating a easily available material and its supposed explosive properties. What they found out was so explosive that we destroyed the footage and agreed never to say what we learned.
I'm sorry, what? Then if it was such a secret, why are you saying it now? Cap, I call Cap. I call Cap, bro. I'm calling Cap hard. If it was so explosive and we never to talk about what we learned, why are you saying it in national live television like now? Nah, that's Cap, bro.
The material they discovered was so explosive and dangerous that they had to report it to DARPA, which is a research and development agency of the United States Department of Defense. Adam also quickly moved on to the next question, likely in an effort to avoid giving any hints about what this dangerous material could be. Following that panel, he refused to utter a single word about the lost episode or the material that made them destroy the footage. That silence was held until the 20th of November 2023 when he uploaded a Q&A video on his YouTube channel titled, "These Mythbusters stories got scrapped due to danger." The first question in this video was someone asking about footage that was destroyed outside of Adam's control. At first, he gave a predictable answer, explaining how network decisions like cutting scenes to make room for advertisements had led to some lost content. But before moving on to the next question, he brought up the commonly available explosive again. And while he was careful not to drop any hints about what the material could be, he did go into more detail about why they decided to erase the footage from existence.
We were looking at the purported explosive power of a commonly available material, and what we found was something so energetic when we executed it that we agreed to not talk about what we learned. Yeah.
Oh, wait, so hold up. They were looking at the explosive power of something that we all can get. Like they were testing on it, and then they found out that it could be so. How dangerous did it? How dangerous was that joint, bro? What did you uncover? What world-ending bomb did you just uncover, my guy?
Yeah, it was common enough, easy enough to implement, easy enough to execute that we were like, the world will not benefit from this knowledge. This is the reason you never saw a silencer episode from Mythbusters.
Bro, why is he the person to determine what the world will benefit? Nah, you should put that information. I feel like he should put the information out. If us humans are so self-destructive enough to see something that, we are, I'm not even going to lie, we are that self-destructive. In fact, we are worst. We are. I see his point, but at the same time, bro, he should have put it out there, bro, and let us ruin ourselves and see why we ruined ourselves. Look at the atomic bomb. Anyone, if you're smart enough, can make an atomic bomb. Like, come on. I think you should have put it out there, bro. That's just me talking, because I can't wait for us to fuck ourselves up so bad, so astronomically bad, we have to change planets, bro. Like, I know it's coming. It's definitely coming. We just have to wait. I don't know if it's going to be in my generation or not, bro, but on everything, bro, I know it's coming.
Is a potato a good silencer? A pillow? A 2-liter bottle of soda? These are all really interesting questions. And silencers are fascinating technologically. But silenced rounds are not a benefit to humanity.
This makes total sense considering Mythbusters had tens of millions of viewers from around the world. The show
It says silencers are good, but silenced rounds are not a benefit. I see what he did there, bro. Imagine you could fire a gun and no one hears it. A murder could be committed outside your door and you wouldn't know until you step out. That's not a benefit at all, my guy.
Built its reputation on demystifying myths and delivering facts, no matter how surprising or dangerous they might be. By withholding the episode, it may seem like they went against their own character. Some might even argue they had a responsibility to release the episode, both for the sake of scientific transparency and to educate the public about potential risks.
Exactly.
Educating people about the potential dangers of a common material could have sparked important conversations about safety and regulation, potentially preventing accidents born out of ignorance. But here's the other side that's hard to ignore. Mythbusters wasn't just a science show, it was also entertainment. Publishing a step-by-step guide on how to weaponize an easily available material would have been, at best, irresponsible and, at worst, catastrophic. The world isn't short on people who might misuse such information, and the stakes were simply too high to ignore. So, the team's decision to shelve the episode was the responsible thing to do. That said, I did some digging online, and speculation about what this mysterious explosive could be is all over the place. Some claim that it's simply flour. For those who don't know, non-compacted flour is extremely flammable and can easily create a sizable explosion upon combustion. Another chemical that came up in multiple theories was tannerite. It's a binary explosive that is commonly used for long-range weapons practice. It's helpful for marking targets since it detonates visibly on impact. More importantly, it's widely available online. Someone can easily buy tannerite online for relatively cheap without any permit or verification. However, here's the problem with both of these theories. Neither material creates an explosive dangerous enough to justify the drastic steps the Mythbusters team took. For instance, while a tannerite explosion is certainly impressive, it's not nearly dangerous enough to...
Did this man say this is impressive? Wait, hold up. This is mass murder waiting to happen. He said impressive, but a tannerite explosion is obviously impressive. This is what I want to see, what you would call catastrophic, my guy, because hold the phone. Nigga said impressive. This is not impressive. This is what I would call a legit explosion. This is not cute.
Warrant such a drastic response from the Mythbusters team. While researching the topic, I came across a chemical known as triacetone triperoxide, which perfectly fits with what we know about the mystery chemical. For starters, both of the materials required to make triacetone triperoxide are found in most homes. Acetone, which is used as paint thinner and nail polish remover, and peroxide, which is commonly used as a bleaching agent for white laundry. More importantly, even tiny amounts of triacetone triperoxide can do unimaginable damage. Ultimately, unless someone somewhere has a secret copy of that episode and releases it on the internet, we'll never know for sure.
I doubt it,
And
bro.
given how Adam described the danger of this material, it's just one of those rare cases where it's honestly better for the video to remain lost media.
I'm on the opinion he should have released it. I don't know. I feel like he should have dropped it and let us watch ourselves go boom. Because if I still feel like, given the opportunity to destroy ourselves, humans would take it. But at the same time, would fight against it. But at the same time, the most advanced technological advancements in the world has taken place. What I'm saying, that the greatest technological advancements in the world took place in times of like peril, World War I, World War II, etc. So like, if we try to blow ourselves up with etc., we will just find a way to advance past being killed by etc. So yeah.
Jay Leno Blade Incident. On April 14th, 2022, an anonymous user on 4chan's TV board mentioned a disturbing incident they remembered from an old episode of The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. They stated, "One time Jay Leno had a magician on his show and he was doing some sort of cut the lady in half trick. He starts to cut and the lady starts yelling for him to stop like she was actually getting cut or about to get cut, and they start helping her out. I have never seen or heard anything since and never been able to find the clip." The episode in question aired on the 21st of June 2001, and as the story goes, one of the guests on that episode was Arsenio Hall, who was going to perform a classic magic trick of cutting a person in half. However, while he was performing the trick, something went horribly wrong. He accidentally stabbed the woman who was volunteering for the trick. A notable thing about this episode was that Leno wanted to show solidarity with the California power outages. So he hosted his show in a set that was only illuminated by scattered candles and handheld flashlights given to the audience. Maybe the lack of visibility caused Arsenio to make a mistake and harm the woman. Unfortunately, a vast majority of old Tonight Show episodes barely exist in archives and therefore are considered lost media. The June 21st episode is among those lost to time. So there's no way for me to directly verify this incident. But I did find enough clues to piece together what might have happened, and there are three distinct possibilities. First is that such an incident never actually happened and the 4chan poster was making it all up. However, this possibility doesn't hold up because I found old forum posts from 2001 where people were actively discussing the incident online after watching it. Like this person named Dan, whose post gives more details about what exactly went down. Did anyone else watch The Tonight Show with Jay Leno Monday night? It was a repeat, the one where they turned out all the lights in the studio and had a blackout. Anyways, so Arsenio Hall was the guest, and he was going to do a magic trick where he was going to cut a woman in half. So the woman is lying in the box, and he's trying to shove the blade through, and all of a sudden the woman starts screaming and yelling, "It cut me." And
Yo, even if it did happen, bro, I promise you on everything, they didn't air it. Like, was it live? Even if it was live, they took it down, bro. They took it down, bro. Okay, it probably did happen. Let's say it did happen. There is no way on this planet it's still up anyway. Do you know how many careers that joint will have ruined? They probably paid her hush money and told her, "Yo, we're sorry, we made a mistake. Take this amount of money and never speak of this incident again. We're gonna cover the medical fees and everything." Yo, nah, allow it. That joint would have ruined so many careers, it's insane.
And like immediately they cut to a commercial. I was like, what? It has to be a joke. So then when they came back from commercial, Jay seemed flustered, and they didn't mention anything else about the trick for the rest of the night. Did anyone else see this? Does anyone know anything about what happened with this woman? It was so freaky. I also found someone on Reddit who also remembers the incident and mentioned it in the comments of a post discussing the incident, stating, "Holy, I thought I dreamed that episode. I've been wondering what happened to that lady for 20 years. So a woman did get stabbed on the Jay Leno show, or at least that's what it looked like to the audience. Which brings us to the second possibility. The woman did get hurt and the incident was later covered up by the network to avoid backlash from the public.
Bam. Simple, short, easy. That's what happened, bro. since there are actually people who recount the episode and like say it did happen, so I'm guessing it did happen, but they ain't finna. Come on, man, this is Hollywood we're talking about. They are not going to let that happen, bro. The network will get backlash, the host will get backlash, the magician will get backlash, the crew will get backlash. Like the backlash would be so insane, so insane.
However, as much as some people would like to believe this is nothing more than a conspiracy theory. Because, as it turns out, the Jay Leno show is not live, it's taped ahead of time. So, if they wanted to cover it up, they would have edited that whole thing out, long before the episode ever saw the light of day.
Ooh.
Even knowing this, some claim that the showrunners simply forgot to edit this section out and only realized their mistake when it was too late, which is a bit of a stretch. Think of it this way, Jay Leno's show was getting upwards of 7 million viewers in 2001. So even if the network tried to bury the whole thing later, why didn't any of these millions of viewers cause any backlash? From what I've seen, the most plausible theory is that the incident did happen, but it was all part of a skit. And the people who thought it was somehow real were simply not paying enough attention or just didn't realize the dry humor of the scene. This would explain why there was no uproar from the public. And as for the episode becoming lost media, that wasn't a deliberate cover-up, but just a side effect of the pre-YouTube era when preserving TV episodes wasn't a priority. But who knows, if the speculation gains enough momentum, Jay Leno, Arsenio Hall, or someone else from the show's production team might come forward with the truth. Until then, all we have are educated guesses to piece together the mystery.
You know what I mean? I mean, if it wasn't live, bro, I thought it was live. I thought it was like alive, but I keep forgetting this was the generation before y'all were suffering a lot. I'm sorry, bro. Well, I thought it was live. I thought everything was happening live in the moment, and people were. I mean, if it was an edited situation, then it was probably a skit. I promise you, before they air joints, bro, they watch and rewatch and rewatch it. So if it was there, they would have seen it. They didn't just make a mistake or forget to edit it out. That is a stretch. They saw it. You feel me? So it's probably a skit, bro.
Sharon Davis's Unsolved Mysteries episode. Sharon Eugene Davis was a 51-year-old school teacher living in Dallas, Texas. She lived with their 2 children, Autumn and Ronnie, and their husband of 21 years, Ron Davis, who she married back in 1980. Unfortunately, her relationship with Ron wasn't ideal. Just 5 years after their marriage in 1985, Sharon filed for divorce while describing her husband as controlling and ill-tempered. She withdrew cash from their mutual account and was planning to move to LA with her 2 children. However, soon after filing for divorce, she mysteriously changed her mind and returned to living with Ron. Fast forward to June 11, 2001, Sharon once again found the courage to file for divorce. And this time she was prepared to go through with the decision at any cost. She was planning to move out of her house in the 1900 block of Elderleaf Drive, all while her attorney was trying to obtain a temporary restraining order against Ron, her husband. However, just as everything seemed to be falling into place, tragedy struck. On June 13, 2001, at around 7 a.m., Sharon dropped her daughter at Rapid Transit Park and Ride Station, 2 miles from their home, and went on her way. She was scheduled to attend a training session at Stemmons Elementary, but she never arrived. Even after her children asked their father to report their mother missing on the evening of June 13, 2001, he refused to contact the authorities until a day later, starting a citywide search for Sharon. And after 4 days of searching, investigators finally found her car abandoned in a parking lot near the Southwest Mall in Oak Cliff. The car had a broken window and was also wiped clean of fingerprints.
The father did
and
it.
While
The father did it. The father did it. The father did it. This is not an unsolved. You know what? I should keep going.
all of this
But
was
the father
highly
did it, bro.
suspicious, the lack of evidence meant that Sharon's disappearance was filed as a missing person case. Ron and her 2 children were called in for interviews multiple times, but the investigators weren't able to find any leads from either of them. Sharon's mysterious disappearance 2 days after her filing for divorce also made Ron the prime suspect in many people's eyes.
Bro, I said the Ron did it, bro. Ron did it. Ron did it. Like, y'all need evidence to tell you this one? Come on, bro. I don't care if Broski has an alibi. He did it.
However, the complete lack of evidence prevented authorities from treating him as the potential perpetrator. When asked about it, this is what the lead officer had to say. We've had a lot of people ask us if he, Ron Davis, is a suspect. This is a missing person case. There are no suspects at this time. We don't have any criminal evidence, although we fear foul play has occurred. Right now, Mr. Davis is a witness, an uncooperative witness. And after months without any leads, Sharon's case caught the attention of the producer of Unsolved Mysteries, who wanted to air an episode on her case. They produced the segment in mid to late 2001, and it was scheduled for broadcast sometime in spring of 2002. The last thing they needed was an interview from Ron. However, when the producers approached him, he denied their request and was quite stern about it. But when they wanted to air the segment without Ron's interview, he objected again and sent an accusatory letter to the producers telling them not to air the segment on Sharon. And that's where the lost media aspect of this story comes into play. The showrunners complied with Ron's request/threat and scraped the whole thing. And as far as I'm aware, the footage has never seen the light of day. It's entirely possible that a witness could have come forward with critical information after seeing Sharon's story on TV. However, Ron's refusal closed the door on any potential leads that could have changed the course of the investigation.
Wait, why the hell does Ron get a say in this? I mean, he is a... Nah, screw. I would have aired it regardless.
This obviously put a lot more attention on Ron. He was even given nicknames like the most guilty non-guilty man.
Whoa,
but it's been 22 years without any updates to Sharon's case.
Bro, don't you think that's crazy, man? How a nigga can kill a nigga and just cover his tracks so well that since there's no evidence, he walks free. Evidence. Even if all fingers points to you, they still need evidence to prosecute. And that right there, just that single, I know it's like, it's valid, you know, because I'll be pissed if there's no evidence that a nigga raped another like a person and they prosecuted him without evidence. But evidence, man, evidence. There are certain places where you don't need evidence. The case tells the story for itself. Like this, Broski obviously off the...
Game in the Sand. Game in the Sand is the name of a shocking short film by the German director Werner Herzog. If you've ever heard of him, you'll know he's famous for pushing boundaries, and not always in a good way. His sets are very well known for being chaotic, and there have even been injuries and deaths during his productions. And apparently he's been this way since the very beginning. You see, Game in the Sand was the second film he ever created back in 1964. However, after completing the film, Werner was so horrified by the footage that he decided to never release it to the public. The only thing we know about the short movie is that it featured 2 children, a rooster, and a cardboard box. It was also filmed in a sandy area, hence the name, and according to Werner, things, quote, got out of hand during shooting. The premise of the movie is also a complete mystery. The only thing Werner has talked about is a scene where the rooster was buried in sand up to its neck. Everything else we know about the film comes from speculation, and given Werner's reputation, people online have come up with some pretty wild theories over the years. Some think the rooster suffocated after being buried, forcing the children to watch it slowly die. Others suggest the kids might have killed the rooster in a brutal way, either on their own or under Werner's instructions. This could explain why it was buried in the first place. Some have also speculated the opposite. Maybe the rooster injured the children with its sharp beak or claws, and Werner captured that on film. The problem with these theories, however, is that none of this comes even close to the stuff that's been released under Werner's other productions, like deaths being shown. What could have gone so wrong during the filming of Game in the Sand that was worse than this? Of course, there's the possibility that Game in the Sand isn't real at all, just something Werner made up to add an air of mystery or create hype for his future projects. Unfortunately, we'll probably never know the truth. The identities of the children involved were never made public, and the film's composer, Uwe Brandner, someone who might have been able to shed some light on what really happened, passed away in 2018. So even if the short film is real, I highly doubt Werner would have a change of heart 60 years later and release it to the public.
I mean, look, that's possible. I can't even lie. Can't put anything away from a nigga. That's actually very, very possible.
The Skyway Man. Ormer Locklear was an American daredevil stunt pilot who became popular in the early 20th century after doing the craziest plane stunt of his time. After footage of his stunt went viral across the country, Ormer was hired for a role in a pseudo-documentary film about stunt flights called The Skyway Man in April of 1920. Put simply, the film was like a collection of the craziest stunts Ormer could successfully pull off in a plane. Filming for the movie began on June 11, 1920 in the LA and San Francisco area. However, the stunts featured in the film were quite tough, including a church steeple being toppled by Locklear's aircraft and an aircraft-to-train transfer, both of which nearly ended in disaster. But despite the many close calls, Ormer and the other stunt pilots remained unharmed. It was soon time to record the last stunt of the film, which was relatively safe compared to what Ormer had done before. It was going to be a simple spin move that was filmed during the day with special camera filters to make it look like the whole thing was performed at night. However, when Ormer learned that the studio wasn't going to extend his contract beyond one film, he demanded to perform the stunt at night, likely as a desperate attempt to impress the producers. Unfortunately, this is where his luck ran out. On the 2nd of August 1920, Ormer and his longtime flying partner Milton Elliott took flight at night. To make the plane visible to the camera in the dark, the production crew illuminated it with massive arc lights. However, these lights were a bit too bright, so the crew was going to turn them off after the stunts just so Ormer wouldn't be blinded and he could land safely. Maybe it was negligence or simply bad luck, but the crew forgot to turn off the lights. And to everyone's horror, the plane crashed into the ground, killing both Ormer and Milton on impact. However, unlike today, where such an accident would shut down even the biggest film productions, at the time, Ormer's death became the selling point of the film. People flocked to the theater to see the breathtaking stunts, and more importantly, the uncut death footage of the lead stuntman. Unfortunately, the film has since been lost to time. We do have some evidence which proves that it was real, like a memorial for Ormer and Milton in the November 1920 issue of Screenland magazine. I also found a short review for the film from the same magazine issue which reads, Ormer Locklear's Last Picture, directed by James Hogan. Louise Lovely, now a Fox star, furnishes delightful support. Full of thrills and mid-air stunts, the best picture we've had. The Fox company is giving 10% of the profits of this picture to the families of Locklear and Elliott, who are killed while filming the final scene. As for the film itself, it's become lost media in the truest sense of the word. Over the last century, there have been multiple attempts to locate a copy. All have been unsuccessful.
That's crazy, man. I mean, the last one wasn't so crazy because, I mean, I've been long known that the farther we go into this whole life thing, the softer people got. Because niggas actually went to the cinema to watch this. To watch nigga die, nah, that's tough, man. But look, we are bringing back this series, bro. And without further ado, let's enjoy it. Catch you.